Just walk to a police station, report that the ID is lost, and within a span of 1 month, you have a new ID. So that hospital has wasted its energy, resources, and time in holding that ID. It is of no value, and I'm told many hospitals are holding many of these IDs which are useless. The same with a title deed, you get a replacement, a logbook, you get a replacement. Let us go back to the old days, as we said. The nursing profession, which is part of the medical practice, begins just around the time of a lady known as Florence Nightingale. This is a lady who volunteered with a battalion of nurses to go into battlefields where battalions were fighting against each other, but she would move in without caring which side the injured person came from to try and save life. She was not being paid by anybody. She was not asking for any deposit from anyone. She was just there to render pro bono services so that lives in the battlefields are saved. Those are emergencies. As we speak today, we don't go to war a lot, but we have road accidents, we have fire accidents, and all these accidents that bring in emergencies. Let's not have any hospital, let's not have any medical practitioner asking for a deposit before attending to an emergency case. With those remarks, I again laud Honorable Njeri. We need to support this bill. The Senate needs to fast track it, and we also urge the President to assent to the bill as soon as it is taken before him so that Kenyans can continue to reap the fruits of universal health care applying to every Kenyan. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I already gave out the person speaking next.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the bill by Honorable Jane Njeri, a very well thought of bill, Honorable Speaker, a bill that is preserving the dignity of Kenyans, not only inherently, but also the inalienable dignity of Kenyans, of a right to access health services as enshrined in the Constitution in Article 43, Subarticle 1, Paragraph A, that every person has a right to access to healthcare services. And in addition to that, Article 43, Subarticle 2, further breathes life that every person has a right to access any emergency treatment. And Honorable Speaker, from time to time, we've been going against the spirit of the Constitution in an attempt to make money. And because of that, Honorable Speaker, we know very well that greed blurs vision. When there's too much greed, when we are just looking for money, there will be no vision. Honorable Speaker, we know very well of the Hippocratic oath that the doctors took, which is named clearly after the physician, the Greek physician called Hippocrates. And it is clear the person is the father of medicine. It is clear, Honorable Speaker, that the oath states that, number one, you should not do harm. Do no harm. Mean no harm. Number two, that you should treat the patients according to the best of your ability as a medic. And number three, that you owe a duty of care to the patients that come to these medical facilities. Further, there is an oath taken by the nurses, the Nightingale Pledge, which was created in 1893 in honor of Florence Nightingale, that do no harm, that you need to practice nursing faithfully, just as doctors should practice medicine ethically. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, if somebody walks to a hospital to access treatment, the first thing that every Kenyan citizen should get is a right to have a healthy life. Honorable Speaker, you know the role of health in economic development. A sick nation...
Honorable Babu.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
It would seem that mostly those who turn people away are neither doctors nor nurses. There are these people called hospital administrators. Where do you put them? Because
I'm coming there, Honorable
oath.
Speaker. Most of these people who own these hospitals are doctors. And therefore, they are within that same bracket. And you see, to the administrators, the moment they are giving these instructions, they are given from the bosses. Now, most of the people that we employ as CEOs of these public hospitals are also doctors. And Honorable Speaker, you even go to Mama Lucy, which is just here. You will find that some of the medics are the ones who might be pushing the patients away, and that I've seen from time to time. And I also understand them, that they're also frustrated because of lack of payment. They are not paid on time, and they are not paid well. I also understand their frustrations. But the most important thing is to preserve life. And just to divert a little bit, General Patton in the United States of America said that when you fight for your country, you do not need to die for your country. But as you fight for your country, and I will quote verbatim, seriatim, as you fight for your country, you let the other bastard die for his country. Because the moment you die for your country and you win, then how will you enjoy the spoils of war? Therefore, Honorable Speaker, it brings me back to the role of health in economic development. A sick child cannot go to school. A sick nation cannot be productive. And that clearly tells you, Honorable Speaker, that the first most important thing to do is to ensure that healthcare is affordable. And if not affordable, should be free. If not free, should be very affordable. You walk to Mama Lucy Hospital, Honorable Speaker, you lack 500 shillings for x-ray, a chest x-ray, it means that you're going to die. At the same time, Honorable Speaker, you lack 2,500 shillings for high-level x-ray again, you don't get medication. Then it means that we are losing thousands of Kenyan citizens who deserve to grow this nation. Now, the worst comes in, Honorable Speaker, that you have been admitted. You've sold everything. You are from the village, you are from the slums, you are even from a well-off family. You've spent all your earthly belongings in a hospital. Then eventually you lose your patient. Then the rubber meets the road. You lose the patient, you've lost everything. Then you are told that you can't take a dead body from the hospital just to go and bury. At that point, Honorable Speaker, you are mourning. Somebody has passed on. You are mourning. Then the hospital insists that we have to get hold, we have to detain the body. Honorable Speaker, in a High Court case of one Mary Nyagero versus Karen Hospital, 2016, the late Justice Majanja, in his own wisdom, may his soul rest in peace, stated clearly that there is no property in a dead body, that you cannot sell a dead body. There is no economic value in a dead body. And therefore, detaining a dead body further adds grief to the families. Honorable Speaker, for those who are staying in Nairobi, and Honorable KJ will tell you that transporting a dead body from Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, hiring a car, first of all, clearing hospital bills, you don't have the money, then making the arrangements to hire the car, to get a hearse or a matatu, to transport a body to the village, to burial. Honorable Speaker, it's like you are burying two people at the same time. Economically, you are buried, and at the same time, you are burying a loved one. So, Mheshimiwa Njeri, this bill deserves to be supported by all members of parliament, because from our own constituencies, people are suffering. And I would like to say that these hospitals, Honorable Speaker, we need to pass this bill to curb this unethical, immoral behavior. so that we can preserve the dignity of Kenyans. God bless you.
I will have the Honorable Basil, followed by the Honorable Mayaka, followed by the Honorable Sabina Chege, followed by the Honorable John Waweru, like that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the craft of the bill, Honorable Jerry, the MP for Kirinyaga, who actually brought this very important bill. I agree with most of the contributors to the bill. This is a very important bill, Mr. Speaker. And as just Honorable Babu said very well, you have no value, economic value in a dead body. And when you detain a dead body, basically, Mr. Speaker, you are hurting already a bereaved family who are actually trying to mourn their beloved one. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a very timely bill. I would want to make reference to one of the patients, one of the family in my constituency, who had a body that was detained in the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral, and Research Hospital for about 3 months, Mr. Speaker. When I spoke with the CEO, she was extremely, she was rude. She did not seem to have empathy with this particular family, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I wrote so many medical waivers to that particular hospital. I even asked them, are you operating as a public hospital or do you operate like a private hospital, Mr. Speaker? It was so annoying, a family that has already depleted their resources, Mr. Speaker, who could not even bury their loved one, were struggling to have their body released by Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral, and Research Hospital, Mr. Speaker. And that's why when I saw this bill, I've said I'm not going to move. I'll wait till the time I'm given the chance to contribute, because it really affected me, Mr. Speaker, to see a situation where an hospital doesn't seem to sympathize as well as empathize with a family that has already lost their loved one, Mr. Speaker. I don't think, Mr. Speaker, there is any family that deliberately would decide they don't want to pay medical bills for their patients or even for their loved ones, Mr. Speaker. It is a situation that puts people in that circumstance, Mr. Speaker, where economically they are crippled. They are not able to raise anything, Mr. Speaker. Even some of them go to an extra mile to sell all their assets, Mr. Speaker. They hold numerous arambis, Mr. Speaker, which yield nothing. Like in this particular case, Mr. Speaker, we did all we could to raise about 4 million, Mr. Speaker, but we could not raise the money. And that's why it's important we criminalize a situation where the hospital would detain a body of a Kenyan or a patient that has already gone to the other planet, Mr. Speaker. When I look at this particular bill, I have a couple of other salient points which justify why I support this particular bill. And I want to say categorically the bill, in addition or in consideration that it also aligns with Article 43 of the Constitution, particularly Subarticle 1 down to Subarticle 3 on the right to health, Mr. Speaker. At the same time, it aligns with Sustainable Development Goals number 3, Mr. Speaker, which talks of good health and well-being, Mr. Speaker. I also want to emphasize that the bill does deter or mitigate arambis and fundraising that are done to support medical-related costs, Mr. Speaker. The bill also does strengthen the patient rights, because when patients have already used what they could and they are denied their health services, Mr. Speaker, that is in principle is denying them the right to health. And this particular bill protects that particular right, Mr. Speaker. The bill also supports healthcare workers, Mr. Speaker, by tightening the legal duties and as well as clarifying the roles and responsibilities, Mr. Speaker. At the same time, It does protect healthcare workers from abuse and unreasonable liabilities that arise within their within the medical field or the medical related services, Mr. Speaker. Importantly, this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, in terms of making it operationalize and make it to really not make hospitals not to operate, I would recommend that we also put emphasis on appropriating adequate resources, Mr. Speaker, to support operation and administrative costs of health facilities, Mr. Speaker, particularly public health hospitals. This is going to make sure hospitals have no excuse at all to detain bodies as well as deny patients right to health, Mr. Speaker. So I urge members, just as Honorable Babu, who was here, who left, that it's important for all members of parliament to support this particular bill and ensure that we promote health services, particularly to the most poor, who are the majority in this particular country. So with those few remarks, I support and I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Please give the order. Some of my Honorable Sabina, Honorable Waweru.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to this very important amendment to the Health Bill of 2024. Honorable Speaker, I want to first take this opportunity to really thank the Honorable Njeri Maina, the County MP for Kirinyaga, for coming up with this very important bill and doing so in a very interesting manner, Honorable Speaker. I was watching Honorable Njeri speak and I was wondering if she was addressing a panel of judges because it was very high level and she looked extremely elegant while at it. So Honorable Njeri, proud of you and congratulations. Honorable Speaker, this is an amendment that seeks to actually restore dignity to the human life. Because, Honorable Speaker, not only does it touch on a very important aspect, which is patients who go in for emergency services, because we all know at that particular emergency level, sometimes determines whether or not someone is alive. And the fact that it has to wait for a financial transaction to happen before someone gets medical attention, we have seen a lot of lives have been lost because of that. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, just the re-emphasize on that is very important. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of persons who are detained, dead bodies that are detained. Because, Honorable Speaker, and as someone else has alluded to it, a dead body has no value. You cannot take it and go and sell. Even if you want to harvest organs, organs are harvested prior, not before life is completely lost. So these dead bodies have no value. But also, Honorable Speaker, the fact that we are criminalizing this is even more important because if you look at the legislations that are in some of the countries like South Africa, the United States, in India, the legislations are very specific in terms of criminalizing the offense of any person in charge of a public health facility. And I like the use of the word a person in charge because the buck stops with the leadership of that particular health facility. He or she must ensure that the people who are working in that medical facility are not undermining this law because he remembers that he or she will be the one who will be charged. So this is a very important aspect, and it also just gives strength to the section 137 of the Penal Code, which hinders the declining of providing dead bodies for that particular case. Honorable Speaker, also the aspect of having alternative payment plans. I think that's very important, and Honorable Mukunji also alluded to this, so that we also don't have situations where people are taking advantage of this particular law, whose main aim is to restore dignity. But having a payment arrangement for people who do not have the means of making the payment right then and then is very important, so that people remember that at the end of the day, for the medical facilities and services that were provided, payment still has to be made because these public service centers and health facilities also still need to run. So that's a very important aspect to avoid anyone who is trying to take advantage. And Honorable Speaker, if you look at the very many cases that we have had in our country of families where people have not been able to get the dead bodies of their loved ones for as long as even 20 years. It's very unfair. They don't even get to have an opportunity of a closure to give their beloved people a dignified burial because they were not able to raise the medical fund. It's a very unfair aspect. And so this actually really helps the families, because for us in the African society, giving our loved ones a befitting farewell is a very important aspect of life in terms of its end and continuity of those ones who are still alive, for them to be able to have the comfort that they did give their dead person a befitting farewell. The other aspect also, Honorable Speaker, is the mothers with newborns. You find a mother with a newborn has been detained in hospital for long because you're not able to pay for that particular child. And actually, Honorable Speaker, there's no financial sense in it, because the more you're detained in hospital, the more you continue accruing the bills. In essence, this is someone who was not even able to pay those bills, and then you're adding to them another load. It does not make any financial sense. You'd rather allow the person to be released and then have a proper payment arrangement so that they can be able to continue with life outside there. Because you can imagine, Honorable Speaker, what it does to a newborn child, even if they're not able to speak or defend themselves, the kind of life that they're just in the hospital bed, they've not been able to go and stay at home. For even the mother who has just had that child, and they're not even able to leave the hospital, despite the fact that they do not have any medical issues with them, that they're just seated in a medical facility because they're not able to pay these particular fees. So, Honorable Speaker, I just want again to retaliate, and especially in terms of what the bill is speaking to, because the bill is very specific in terms of public health facilities, and number two, the aspects of criminalizing any offenders to this particular bill. I think those are two very important aspects to this particular amendment, and therefore, with those few remarks, I'd like to just register my support for this bill, and I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, before I contribute, I want to congratulate my sister, Njeri, famously known as Gasheri Gaito, the Women Rep Kirinyaga County, for a well-thought amendment of this health.
What does that mean?
Gasheri Gaito is our Njeri, our small Njeri. Yes, so it's so it is to show that the Kirinyaga people, and even the people who speak this language that I also speak, like and admire her. We admire her leadership. She's courageous, despite having a small body. But she's very, very courageous, and at the same time, are very smart. Among the smartest women reps we have in our region and in Kenya. So congratulations, Honorable Njeri, for thinking about how we can be able to sort issues. And I always say, in this house, Mr. Speaker, we have solutions. Sometimes we look for solutions outside. Sometimes we'll go and complain to the people on what the government is not doing or what they ought to do. But we have a solution here. And I'm happy that this is, as she moved the motion, she said, it doesn't belong to any political divide. It belongs to every Kenyan. And Honorable Speaker, especially the members of this house, almost every day, every weekend, you get calls from the constituents asking for help. Mr. Speaker, I think I've written endless letters to hospitals, trying to beg CEOs, hospitals management to release dead bodies. Mr. Speaker, it is unfortunate that even having a constitution that is very clear on the right to life on Article 26, the human dignity on Article 28, the right to health on Article 43, and also emergency medical treatment, and even having the landmark ruling from High Court, the commercialization of health in Kenya is real. Honorable Speaker, last year I moved a motion that I had proposed that we, as a civil servants and also government officials attend and to public health facilities, so that, Mr. Speaker, as we are there, we'll also interact with our constituents. We will see a person who is coming in and being turned away. We will also give back the money that we receive from the exchequer through funding our insurances. And there's not a small amount of money going back to the public facilities. Because the challenge we have today is that we have more private facilities than public facilities. These private facilities are funded by the money from Kenyan citizens, whereas we have public facilities funded by the exchequer, but we will find that the services given there, we have a long way to go. Whereas we know, Mr. Speaker, a facility like Kenyatta National Hospital has the best doctors. They have even performed best surgeries, that have not been done in any other facility in Kenya. But you still find, Mr. Speaker, that you'll find there are not enough doctors. Patients going there, they will take a very long time to be taken care of. Emergency section, Mr. Speaker, we find that Kenyans are still taken back. Mr. Speaker, what do we talk, when we say about emergency, what do we mean? It is not something that was not planned. Maybe a fire, there was a fire and cases of fire. Maybe there was an accident, Mr. Speaker. When such a person rushes, the person is taken to the nearest health facility. So to go and ask such a person, give me 200,000, 100,000, where will they get it from? Honorable Njeri, when she was moving, she mentioned about my friend, the late Betty Bayo. Well, she went to a facility and they have to wait from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. for people to wake up so that they can be able to give the money for deposit for her to be admitted. And she was bleeding. It is sad we lost Betty Bayo, a very famous musician. But this is only one of the cases that were highlighted. Many people lose their lives when they are turned away. And I think it is important that any health facility, even before we pass this bill, that when somebody comes in an emergency case, first save a life, then you can refer them to another facility if you see they don't have money. But you cannot just turn somebody away. That is even, somebody who is not even human, Mr. Speaker. And so we need to turn the eye from the health sector, from commercialization, to health that saves life and taking care of human beings. Mr. Speaker, when I was looking at the numbers of the body that were detained, I saw in 2024, Kenyatta National Hospital, there were 246 bodies of infants. I put myself in the shoes of a mother who walks in, waiting to go home with a baby. And maybe this baby passes on. On a small baby gets sick, you go to hospital and the baby passes on. Already the mother has the loss of that infant. And then you dare hold such a body because you want money from that mother. How inhuman can anybody be, Mr. Speaker? As we have said, a dead body has no value. Most of these families, and I know my colleagues have said there are other ways of finding out whether the family can be able to afford, or even giving, dates and times on when they can be able to come and pay. So the first problem, somebody came in or brought a relative, and then the person passes on. So it's already painful, the family is going through a loss. Very few Kenyans, even religiously, there's some religion that they want to bury their kin immediately. But if they are not able to get that body out, it will not just because they want to run away from paying. It can't be, Mr. Speaker. It is because they do not have. A hospital and a facility like the Moi Teaching Referral Hospital has a very clear, and I want just to say, when I was the chair of health, we visited these facilities. The Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital has a very good social support. And so the social worker, by the time you walk in the hospital, by the time you even get admission, the social worker is able to tell that family at the end of the day they will manage to pay or they will not manage to pay. Here we are talking about dead bodies being detained. But Mr. Speaker, even people who get well, a mother delivers, then you are detained in a hospital, you have to share a bed, or you have to sleep on the floor, because that hospital wants you to pay. No one would want to stay in a hospital even after one day when you are discharged, Mr. Speaker. So even as we do this amendment, we need to look at the law again and see how do we then make sure, and especially the social department of the hospital, such that by the time a person is being released from hospital, if a person dies, the hospital already knows this family is needy. We cannot be able to push them further. Let them first go bury their kin, and they can commit themselves that when we get this amount of money, we can come and pay. If it's emergency, once life is lost, it is lost. But if you save a life, you can be able to give that person a chance to go back, maybe recover, go back to work, take a loan, or even get money, do harambe, and bring back. So I wish to urge, even as we pass the law, because laws are passed, Mr. Speaker, but the implementation of law is another thing. So if there is already a high court ruling on the same, why are we still having bodies detained in hospitals? So we need to have a way of these hospitals having to release these bodies so that the kin or the families can go and bury, and then they can be left with a clear way on how they can be able to sort the bill. Mr. Speaker, let me speak about SHA, because SHA has a component of emergency. And Mr. Speaker, if the SHA had covered only level 6, emergency happens and one is taken to the nearest facility. So we may need to relook, and I know the health committee members, some of them are here, if there is a way we can be able to look at what level is this emergency care being given at, so that even if you are rushed to the nearest dispensary, you are taken care of. If it's a level 1, level 2, level 3, because emergency is for somebody to be taken care of. Mr. Speaker, and I want just addition of 1 more minute, I want to say something about also emergency handling, because that is something that we also need to look as a nation. If somebody gets an accident today on Thika Superhighway, where do they get an ambulance?
1 more minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Where do they get an ambulance? So we should be having a shortcut, like the way I know if I want to apply for Nyota, I'll do *54#. So if there is an emergency that happens on whichever highway, Nakuru Highway, then how can those people access to emergency care so that there's an ambulance? Number 2, handling of our patients. The majority of Kenyans are... Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Majority of Kenyans are dying because once they get an accident, you find people with pangas trying to cut the cars, trying to pull people out. So they actually don't die because of the accident, but the handling. So once we have that number of emergency, we also need to have professionally trained people so that if there's an accident, it's not the business of the people who come to steal phones, to come and try to pull people away. So you pull somebody, you cut off the leg and leave it in the car. So that if there is an emergency and there is an ambulance, the people who are well-trained personnel can come and handle the accident victims and take them to the nearest facility. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate Honorable Njeri, and I support the amendment. Thank you very much.
The Honorable KJ.
Mr. Speaker, I must thank you and also wish you a happy new year and great leadership in this new session, as you always do by guiding this parliament with your very great leadership skills. Mr. Speaker, I also take this opportunity to congratulate and thank the county MP for Kirinyaga for coming up with this very crucial bill that is extremely timely at a time when country is considering its healthcare and healthcare legislation. I want to thank Honorable Njeri Maina, who is also in a way my county MP, let me say my in-laws county MP, and must thank her for such amazing legislative work in the House. And this is what Honorable Njeri, you are elected to do in this House. Mr. Speaker, this amendment is seeking to amend the Health Act Cap 241 of the laws of Kenya so that it is able to provide for access to emergency treatment and healthcare services prior to the payment of prospective medical costs by users. And Honorable Speaker, why this becomes an important piece of legislation is because we know that we are losing lives uncountable when Kenyans are not able to access emergency health care or healthcare at whatever level because of the requirements for payment ahead of medical care. Mr. Speaker, this becomes a critical concern for us who are in legislation, and especially at this time when we are very careful about what we are doing in the space of the medical services, up to and including the new legislation that this House has passed that has enabled for a new regime of management of healthcare in this country, up to and including the changes that we are making as a House in regard to how health is covered, even in its payment and insurance, which has been a journey that this 13th Parliament has walked. And so what the Honorable Njeri Maina brings to the House is not only timely, but very critical, very useful, not only to the people that she represents, the people of Kirinyaga, but also to the country of Kenya. I must also congratulate her for very ably moving these, and we can see that her training as a legal profession does bring some good value to this House. Mr. Speaker, my attention is drawn to her recommendation on the amendment of Section 2 of Cap 241, where, in part, she is seeking to amend this section by deleting the definition of emergency treatment and substituting it, therefore, for the following new definition, that emergency medical treatment means the necessary initial or immediate medical care that is administered to a critically ill or injured person to avert or prevent death, disability, unnecessary morbidity, or worsening of a medical situation. Mr. Speaker, the case of a known musician in the name of Betty Bayo has been brought up in this debate this afternoon. And Mr. Speaker, this is where legislation becomes a matter of life and death. That if these amendments that Honorable Njeri Maina is pushing today, chances are that we probably would be having this great and celebrated daughter of Kenya still alive if we had been able to have passed these ahead of the tragedy that occasioned the death of this amazing daughter of our country. Mr. Speaker, I want to support fully the proposal that Honorable Njeri Maina is making in this amendment of Section 2 of our Health Act. Mr. Speaker, there is also a perennial problem with our healthcare system in Kenya, where Kenyans are occasioned to a situation of double jeopardy, where a family has lost a loved one, and in addition to the loss of a loved one, they now have to again contend with bargaining and dealing with medical care providers so that they may be able to get the body of a lost loved one, for them to be able to inter the body or conduct the final rites. And Mr. Speaker, in these amendments that the Honorable Njeri Maina is proposing, I do see that she is proposing for us to make it an offense for public health care facilities to detain the body of a deceased person as a means of enforcing settlement of outstanding medical bills. Mr. Speaker, if this was the only amendment that she was proposing, I would have supported the bill totally. But I want to say that even the additional amendments that she's proposing are so useful. And in essence, Mr. Speaker, we have seen situations where families in their state of mourning are occasioned to a double jeopardy of again having to deal with financial offices in hospitals, Mr. Speaker, and the tragedy of it, as has been revealed with the enforcement of the new SHA regulations and laws that this House has passed. Mr. Speaker, we have been able to see the most amazing, and amazing here not in a spectacular way, in a saddening way, the most spectacular offenses in medical service providing institutions, where, Mr. Speaker, out of the SHA journey that we have walked so far, we are realizing that there are institutions that pretend to be offering medical services that have in their staff component more accountants than they even have medical practitioners. That there is an institution that will have employed 50 financial officers, whereas they only have 3 or 4 medical doctors and a handful of nurses, Mr. Speaker. Meaning that this is not even a medical providing institution, it is actually a financial institution. And as such, Mr. Speaker, we end up coming into the problems that we see where the monies are put ahead or in front of, or given more value to life or even the feelings of families that are mourning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do see a proposal that is here proposing that we should be able to resolve the problem of patients or their relatives having to pay medical fees prior to admission and treatment. Mr. Speaker, this is critical. The emergency unit of any hospital should live up to just that word, emergency unit. That, Mr. Speaker, before the admission of any patient, any processing that should happen should be the vitals, the medical vitals that are undertaken for the patient to be admitted. But, Mr. Speaker, today, in most of our medical institutions, we realize that instead of us having to go for the vitals of the patient, we go to seek for their ability to pay medical bills that cannot even be accounted for because this patient has not even received any medical assistance. So how are you able to weigh what it shall cost for this patient to be treated? Finally, Mr. Speaker, I do see a proposal here by the Honorable Njeri Maina that is seeking to better how we handle the release of bodies, Mr. Speaker, which in itself is a critical thing that speaks even to our traditions and our being as a people. And Mr. Speaker, it must be said at this point that medical institutions today have borrowed so heavily from financial institutions that they have even borrowed from our being as Africans, Mr. Speaker. That the African did have traditional doctors. They had a way of taking care of their sick. And Mr. Speaker, they were so careful that even what was given to that person who takes care of the patient was not a payment. It was actually an agreement that was made to appreciate the practitioner. However, today, a hospital is not any different from a bank. But Mr. Speaker, I must say that we must seek in the proper place of the process of this bill to make sure that this covers not only the private institutions, but the public institutions, but also the private ones. Mr. Speaker, allow me 1 minute to also say that I must thank members of parliament and up to and including the national government NGCDF in the Goreti South constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I was seeking this 1 minute to thank the members of parliament who were able to pass the laws that gave life to a new regime of management of health services and the payments of it, and also thank constituency development committees, up to and including the Dagoretti South NGCDF committee, who have been able to onboard very needy and most indigent cases of constituents who deserve cover under the share arrangement. And in the Dagoretti South, I did see that the committee was able to onboard almost 1,190 constituents who are now under the cover. And I do understand that these are the most indigent and the most needy. Honorable Njeri, this is a good piece of legislation. We shall support you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Betty Sadagala, and thank you for your patience. Followed by the Honorable Nebat Marioki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also talk on this amendment, Health Amendment Bill 2024 by Honorable Jane Njeri Maina, MP for Kirinyaga County. This is a very important bill for us to amend, keeping in mind that it's touching on very sensitive issues, which includes medical and the care that is being accorded to the people who depart in this country. In fact, Mr. Speaker, it's very sad to notice that when somebody goes to hospital and it's an emergency case, somebody cannot be admitted because they have to pay admission fee, they have to bring in so many other things, complications, and this is an emergency case. Somebody has been brought in, maybe he's an accident victim, and he or she is not admitted because they have to pay admission fee. As Kenyans, every Kenyan has a right to medical attention. It beats the logic by denying such a wonderful or such a basic need that should be accorded to any Kenyan who is sick and any Kenyan who goes to hospital to seek for medical redress. I want to thank Jen Maina, Njeri Maina, for what she has done. She's given a whole explanation. She has done her research properly to ensure that none of both the patient and the hospital, none will complain. Mr. Speaker, it was sad one day there was an accident. We experienced an accident in Mbale, whereby we rushed a patient there who had gotten an accident. I was shocked. We were just running up and down and there was no way that person could be admitted. So we decided, let's rush to another private hospital, but we were denied admission. They wanted us to pay admission fee. We had to go looking for money left, right, until the time that patient was admitted, and they had bled so much. Unfortunately, the patient passed away. The bill had accrued. They had rushed him to theater and other places. The bill had really accrued, and it became difficult. This made the family to go on even selling part of their land to ensure that they have paid the bill. So this making families are having it rough in this country. Families have to sell their property, they have to sell their houses, they have to sell their land, and land, in fact, like in my county, land, a family of 10, they have a 0.0 of an acre. Now, if part of it is sold to meet a hospital bill, it becomes terrible. It makes Kenyans live like squatters in their own country. So Maina has given us this case, this bill here, this amendment. I want to support it with all my strength. I want to say that Kenyans must get proper treatment. Kenyans should not be subjected to torture like a country that is so backward that cannot handle medical cases properly. When somebody is rushed to an hospital for heaven's sake, this person is supposed to be admitted. The private hospitals, I don't know why they put caveats, they can't admit people. Kenyans need to be admitted. The issue of bills can come later. Members of parliament are suffering. Right now, there are several dead bodies in the mortuaries in Kenyatta Hospital here, and even some for my county, Vihiga, one that has a 2.5 million bill that needs to be paid, and this person is dead, and it's a family that cannot afford. Surely, if you detain such a body for real, where do you want these people to get the money to pay? This bill, this amendment will cure all these problems that we are experiencing, and a research has been done properly to ensure that the people who have private hospitals will not suffer, the Kenyans will not suffer, Kenya is registered under a World Health Organization. Why should Kenya behave independently away from other countries like the United States, India, Canada? They may be advanced states, but Kenya also, we are heading there. If we add on SHA, if SHA can pay some of these bills, I think we need to amend this bill so that once a family loses a beloved one, it is not easy. It is not easy for a family has lost a person and they have a bill of 5 million, paying it becomes a big problem. And also the dead also need to be given a dignified life, a dignified send-off. When you keep a dead body in the mortuary for over 6 years, 5 months, or a year, that one beats the logic. It is very shameful. That one shows that we as a country, we don't care. It is very shameful. I'm talking from experience. In Vihiga, we have had bodies being in the mortuary for 6 years. Just cases here and there. So it becomes difficult. It makes this family, they can't sleep, they can't have peace. Their kin is being held there in the mortuary and they are at home mourning. It becomes a thing that is really embarrassing, and it is very unheard of in this century. And in this, we are almost 60 years after independence. It is not the best thing that can happen to our people. And as all of us, we need proper care. We are entitled to hospitals. This morning I was seeing a lady morning on television. She went to a private hospital. Her tooth was just a tooth, something very simple that can be extracted and somebody goes home. It's not something that can make somebody be admitted, but wrong medication. This lady was mishandled. She has moved from hospital to hospital. So many operations being done, just a tooth extraction. I think the medical treatment in this country is terrible. It has to be looked into. It has to be looked into to save lives. You can't just lose somebody just because of a tooth extraction, for real. It is embarrassing. It is making the medics look like they have not qualified, and they are qualified. The quacks are using these other private entities, and I think the body in charge must whip a crack, and even the health committee in this parliament must ensure, sanction the private hospitals that are becoming notorious, so that we see if they can be done away with. They may be assisting, yes, but they are also causing a lot of damage, chaos to our people. On that note, Mr. Speaker, let me just say this bill has been brought in at the right time. And this bill is a win-win situation. The people will win and the hospitals will win. I therefore support it. I support the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said. Member from Mbeere South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute on this very important amendment bill, health amendment bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member of Kirinyaga for bringing this bill at this time. Mr. Speaker, to me, when I read through this bill, I wondered why it never came earlier, because it is actually addressing what is affecting our constituents most. Our constituents are being affected by medical, what we are calling emergency medical treatment and barriers. This is where the major problem is. And this is what we as MPs are being faced with each and every other day. Mr. Speaker, if we look at the basic definition of emergency. It means it's something unexpected, something unforeseen that can occur, to anybody, if I may extend it to that. And so, when somebody goes to the hospital and you find the right attention is not offered, that means emergency medical services are not available in that hospital. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for bringing out the right definition for emergency medical treatment, which, Mr. Speaker, I read, that it means that this is the necessary initial or immediate medical care that is administered. Mr. Speaker, if it is allowed in the Act, I would request that the words immediate medical care be bolded or underlined for attention to be drawn to that, because this is exactly what is lacking. You go to almost every hospital, there's the emergency department. But do the patient get the immediate medical care when they get there? When you are asking the patient or whoever has come with the patient to first of all make a deposit, that means immediate medical care is not being administered there. And this is what happens in almost all hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I was in Aga Khan Hospital last week, and when I was being attended by the doctor just told me there's an emergency and he left me. I actually thank that doctor because I was left and the doctor went to attend to another emergency case. And this is what we mean by immediate. It requires immediate attention. We have lost a lot of lives in this country because we don't get immediate medical care. Somebody comes to a hospital and you are losing breath, you can't breathe, and you find that person will be kept there, you are not given oxygen, no first aid, and the hospital is just asking for payments first. Mr. Speaker, the same last week, I was called by one of my constituents at midnight that was in Nairobi hospital, and they had an emergency. And the patient could not be admitted because they could not be able to pay the deposit. So the son was raising deposit through the phone, calling people at midnight so that the patient can be admitted. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill is very, very important. What I am putting here, Mr. Speaker, as my contribution is that we should add, in addition to criminalizing lack of this immediate, let me not call it immediate, let me call it, as we criminalize denial of emergency services, we should also criminalize delayed attendance to emergency services, Mr. Speaker. Because the main thing which is affecting us mainly is delayed attendance to emergency services. Mr. Speaker, some of these people who are taken as emergency patients, they are taken by well-wishers. You are driving yourself on the road alone and you have an accident. Who is going to attend to you? This is a well-wisher. And when you are taken to a hospital and possibly you are unconscious and they are asking for deposit first, who is going to pay this deposit? The very person who is unconscious, who requires immediate medical attention, is the one who is supposed to pay, because the well-wisher cannot be able to pay. He doesn't even know you. He's just trying to save life. Mr. Speaker, I think this bill, I'm saying it should have come much earlier because a lot of people have lost their lives. When we come to the poor in our community and they are made or subjected to paying these deposits first, Mr. Speaker, we are well aware that they are not able to pay. And because of that, they cannot get medical services. Life has no price. And if life was to give a price, it would be so high that none of us living would be able to pay the price of life. And because of that priceless tag on life, then we should treat saving life differently, that everybody should be concerned and be able to save life at whatever level. Mr. Speaker, for this bill to be applicable and proper, we should have emergency services at all levels in our hospitals, starting from the first level, level 1, 2, 3, up to the highest level. What am I saying here, Mr. Speaker? When it comes to emergency services, you don't have a choice. You go to the nearest medical facility. And that nearest medical facility should be able to address your situation until you are stable. Unless if it requires certain services like ICU, which may not be available at every level. And so, Mr. Speaker, we need to regulate this. All health facilities, they should be regulated as far as emergency medical care is concerned. These days, if you take just an injured patient to this level 1, level 2 dispensaries, you find even simple things like gloves to attend to the patient, they are not available. You are meant to go and buy them from the local market, from the chemists. Injections to make the patients maybe not have the pain as they are attended to. They are not available. This is why I'm requesting and putting it forward to you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we should have a level of regulation whereby every health facility should be having what is required to attend to emergency services. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, let also the charges be regulated for emergency services because the patient has got no choice. Let the emergency services be regulated to enable the patients to be stabilized so that they can make their own choices as to where they want to be attended thereafter. Or even the caregivers who attend to these patients. So, Mr. Speaker, as we go through this bill, we need to bring in some level of regulation, regulating the health services which are to provide emergency services, and also regulating the charges so that the patients, when they are attended, now they are free to make their choices as to where they want to be attended. Mr. Speaker, when it comes now to the dead, it is really shocking and even shameful, if I may put it so. When somebody has to be detained in hospital and you are dead, you don't know whether you are there, it's other people actually who are being tortured, not the dead person. It has been said here that there's no price for a dead body. So even if you detain it, if we were to be inhuman, we would just say, kana hiyo, stay with it. Because it has got no value. So when we criminalize this, we are only saving the torture and agony to the owners or to the relatives of the dead person. Mr. Speaker, actually when I was coming here, there is a barrier in my constituency which has been postponed this day, this morning, because they are not able to get the body, because they cannot pay the bills. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. I have run out of time. I support this bill, and I feel we should all support it so that our people should stop suffering. They should get emergency services as required, and should it come that God has called one to heaven, then they should put to rest at the right time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Narok North, the member for Kipipiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the Health Amendment Bill 2024. And before I contribute, I think I need to thank Honorable Njeri, MP Kirinyaga, for this articulate amendment bill that is before us. And it has come at the right time because the issues that were in the amendment bill were addressing detainment of bodies and also the emergencies. And if you want to see what the two issues are, just visit one of the referral hospitals. When you visit these referral hospitals, the first thing you see is patients that come seeking for help because of the emergencies that they have come across. And when you look at these patients, everybody is crying at its own corner and nobody is attending them. One, because there are no facilities. Because in order to provide health services, facilities must be stocked with drugs, equipment, and health personnel. And all these three issues lack at the referral hospitals. And it's unfortunate because health in Kenya is a devolved function. And I think these functions were devolved when people were not ready. Because health is so critical that it needs a lot of attention. But what we see is different from what we thought we were going to get. Because the facilities, the referrals have facilities, and the county governments are not ready to do what we wanted them to do, or Kenyans are waiting for. Because when you talk about dead bodies, yes, you will see that most of the referral hospitals or the health facilities that we have in our constituencies, some of them, people are looking for money, then they don't care about the situation of the patients or the dead ones. They will look for money, and if you cannot pay it, then you are forced to remove the body to where you want to take it, even before you are ready to bury the body. These are issues that we have come across. Last week I had an issue like that one in my constituency, where the family was not ready to bury their their relative, because they didn't have money. And here, where the body was charging every day money, additional money, and at the end of it all, the parents or the relatives must pay the hospital or they pay the mortuary before they remove the body. So we had to do a fundraising to remove the body from where it was to another facility, to give the relatives time to prepare for the burial. Then I think when you look at that, the torture that was there made me involve myself there to help the relatives so that they could bury their relative the way they wanted it, or give the relative a well demanding and needing and what makes them happy, to make sure that they bury their relative the way they wanted it to be. When you look at the emergencies, these people die at the referral hospitals there. Nobody cares of what is happening. So I think it is time for us to look at what is happening in these health facilities. When you talk of SHA, I think it is also time, because there are those hospitals that don't respect the SHA. When you take your relative there, or you take a patient to a place like these facilities like Kijabe, they don't. They tell you to pay before they accept your relative. So I think it is time we look at what is happening in these facilities. Otherwise, I support the amendment, and I just want to urge other members to support it, because it has come at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I start to support my small sister, Gasheri Gaito, for this very good bill, and I wish to say that it is a time in time. Honorable Speaker, I wish to agree with all the speakers who have spoken before me, from emotional distress of the grieving families, implication of the law, especially following the High Court as it had pronounced itself on this matter, in terms of ethical concern, by way of denying the dead the dignity. And I may not want to repeat all that, because I'm in agreement with all my colleagues. But Honorable Speaker, I wish as a House, we look at this bill from another angle. Maybe this bill is calling us as a nation to come and consider how to make healthcare affordable. Not purely affordable, as we all know healthcare can really be expensive, but on specifics. For instance, the emergency cases. And Honorable Speaker, I'm taking this practice as it often may be a result of systematic issues, possibly from inadequate, not possibly, but I am convinced is from inadequate healthcare funding. So it is time as a country we look at healthcare holistically and consider the national hospitals, particularly the referral hospital, the county hospitals, we have them in our counties, and consider sufficient funding. Honorable Speaker, I think this bill is also calling us for better insurance coverage. As we speak about government hospitals, we may go broader and speak of general insurance, because even when a patient wants to attend a private hospital and a patient has even a private insurance cover, in the event maybe the cover is not paid or there is that concern of confirming, we have found patients dying at the emergency doors. So if it is SHA as a government, I think it is time we look close by close and possibly adjust to make it give the access, particularly to the emergency cases and even in matters of death. Honorable Speaker, as I take this opportunity to thank all members and friends who supported me when I lost my dad, I think last month, I want to identify a case that I experienced. Something like dialysis. You are informed by SHA that it will only cover 2 dialysis sessions, and the patient need maybe 3 or 4 sessions per week. This means if the patient will undergo 2 sessions, the patient and the family has to look for more funds, because dialysis may be a process that is diagnosed by the doctors to be maybe 12 sessions or such. And I found it very pathetic, because in the same hospital, I was finding some of the constituents from my constituency who could not even afford. So you are there distressed by your own parent, but now again you become distressed by the constituency. These harambes are happening every day, and I'm sure 99 or 100% of all these members are participating in these harambes. So, as we speak of ethical issues, legal issues, emotional distress, I want to invite this House, particularly the Committee on Health, to look at the angle of how we can improve the insurance coverage, particularly SHA for government or general public, but also invite even the other insurance, the private owners, because they can improve their package to cover these emergencies. Honorable Speaker, having said that, I wish also to speak or repeat what one member spoke before I entered in the House, because I was just within the compound, and he said, I think it's Dr. Nyikal or Dr. Pukose, that it seems like we made a mistake by devolving healthcare. And I think many members have that feeling, because majority of the charges we find are from the county. But since we already made this decision, Honorable Speaker, and the healthcare is already devolved, and going back to reverse that may be very impossible, considering the Constitution and all that process, I think we should also look at it through Senate at the county level. Because as we improve Kenyatta National Hospital and other national referral hospitals, the counties can also improve their main county hospitals. So it is funding, funding, funding. As we speak of free education, let us also now speak of free healthcare or affordable healthcare. Affordable may be precise. Honorable Speaker, with that, I wish to conclude again thanking all members for supporting me, registering my presence in the House following the allegation from the majority leader, I'm not in the House. Honorable Speaker, you know, even when I was the chair, I was among the members who are always in the House very early to support this House. Also, I tell him women issues should be left to women issues. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The member for Githunguri, followed by the member from Mbeere North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this wonderful bill introduced by my young sister, Honorable Jerry, the member for Kirinyaga. When I heard that Honorable Jerry has brought this amendment, I was very excited. And she knows that I had lobbied her earlier to support me on my geriatric bill that was speaking to matters maternity health care, and more specifically on issues geriatric. Mr. Speaker, I was here earlier and I stepped out and I had to come back because I needed to register my, sorry, Speaker.
What is geriatric?
Geriatric is matters to do with childbirth. Matters to do with childbirth. And I came back because I really wanted to put my voice on this issue. I have been very, very vocal on matters maternity health care, Mr. Speaker. And it pains me when I see a hospital facility refusing to admit a mother in labor, knowing very well that babies cannot wait. Babies cannot wait for an excuse to look for deposit for a hospital bed. They cannot wait for a doctor to be called on call. Babies cannot wait for anybody to raise a logbook, a title deed, or anything else that they're asking as security in our hospitals. Mr. Speaker, the many times I've received distress calls from mothers who have been abandoned at the reception of hospitals, both public and private, is alarming in this country. Thousands of children, and when I talk about children, Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking about infants who have rights, have been detained in our facilities in the name of you have to pay. So I keep asking, when you retain an infant, a three-day-old infant in a hospital, what is the intention? To sell the baby and recover the money? Why should they retain babies, newborns in hospitals? When you retain a dead body, what is the intention? What do you expect to get? Sell the dead body and get the money? I mean, we have to be realistic and we have to be practical. This must stop. And Honorable Jerry, how I wish that this bill can be adopted as a government bill by whoever, or a committee bill if it is possible. We move it in the corridors of this nation and make sure before the lapse of this parliament, this bill has become a law. It is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the date of this bill, it was published in 2024. We are now in 2026. It means we don't take care, we don't give priority to such serious issues. I'm even worried, Madam Jerry, Mheshimiwa, because I'm a senior member here, I can tell you.
Order. This address is to the Speaker.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Speaker, I am worried that this bill, being a private member's bill, we might get excited in this House and talk about it and support it overwhelmingly like we have had. But before it goes to the Senate and comes back for, for a committee of the whole House and all what happens ahead, I'm worried it might not see the light of day. So I'm appealing to the members of this House who belong to the Health Committee, those that belong to the Budget Committee, those that can be able to help us in the leadership to adopt this bill, either as a committee bill or a government bill, so that we can pass it unanimously. I have a lot of interest in it because last weekend, Mr. Speaker, I was in my constituency and I attended 2 fundraisers, one in Mutuya village and another one in Gathanji village. And shockingly, the issues that were in one of the Harambe, one of the fundraisers that I attended, was a pending bill of 580,000. The body is still, even now, detained in Kenyatta Referral Hospital. Interestingly, when I interrogated the bill, I was shocked that these hospitals are actually even adding their own money on top of services rendered to patients. An injection that cost 350 shillings in Ruiru was being billed 1,385. A simple injection. Because these parents, most of them are not able to interrogate the bill. So an injectable, just an injection, just because it was done in the ward, it moves from 385 shillings to 1,300, Mr. Speaker. If you look at those bills, sometimes people die, the bodies are detained in hospitals, but they accrue bills every day. So should I ask, do dead bodies pay rents? Are they supposed to be paying rent? Is it that we are paying for services rendered, or we are paying for accommodation in the hospitals' compounds? Look at the bed charges that they are charging, Mr. Speaker. Why would you ask a patient to deposit 80,000 for a bed? Even a bed in a four-star hotel does not cost us 80,000, Mr. Speaker. So I think this is a very serious bill, and I think we need to do something to make sure that it passes as soon as possible. And Honorable Jerry has done her part, and we support her irrespective of the political positions, because this bill is not Honorable Jerry Minor's bill, it's a Kenyan bill. I stand to support it. Thank you.
Is it Wamudende? This is your chance, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support, and to many members who sometimes call me Njeri. Njeri is a lady, and I'm Jeru. Yeah, I get that sometimes, especially from other parts of Kenya. I rise to support the honorable member. This is a very good bill. And listening to the conversations, we agree that healthcare needs to be relooked. We have a situation where we have been focusing so much on the curative aspect of healthcare, ignoring the preventive aspect. So our healthcare is really expensive. We've been funding healthcare, but the money is not going, has been going to curing the sick. That's the curative part. And this is quite expensive. It's just now that government is introducing preventive healthcare model by engaging even community health promoters, that the benefits may come much later. Now to the bill, it's really timely. We need to stop this. I must say, I had members say dead bodies have no value. Indeed, they have to the bereaved, maybe to the hospital, no. But we have to respect the dead. We have to have compassion for the bereaved families. And it's really a bad situation to put relatives who are mourning, instead of allowing them to continue mourning and get closure through even a burial process, as is our custom, you hold the body, and this is really not right. Now, I think we should also look at what pushes these hospitals to hold the dead bodies. I will not defend these hospitals, but we need to look at that. What compels them to do this? How can we assist so that, like some members were proposing, is there a way we can have a proposal that is, like even installment payments that can be guaranteed so that these hospitals do not resort to that? The other thing, as members, we encouraged our constituents, our people, to register for SHA. I heard a member here say that as civil servants, we pay monthly, and for hustlers, they have a one-off pay. It's not correct. Actually, the president launched Lipa SHA Pole Pole. That is for hustlers. So we are continually giving wrong information to the members of the public. We do not have a very robust social health care scheme, and then we end up with the challenge that brought the spirit to this bill, which is very important. But as members, let us encourage our people to register for SHA. In fact, for me, just now, I responded to a message, a distress call, and the first question I always ask, in Mbeere North, have you paid for SHA? I'd rather help you pay for SHA than pay a big hospital bill later. The other thing is on doctors' charges. I know it's a really emotive issue, and unfortunately, as doctors become better with the more experience, they end up charging more. And I think it's more of a willing buyer, willing seller, or willing healthcare provider and willing service recipient. So I would want us to be careful when we discuss doctors' charges, because we may kill innovation. There are some doctors we pay for medical conferences to be updated. They want to give you the best healthcare, and they will not charge you the same as the same doctor who since graduation maybe has not gone to update. Although I must thank KMPDC, because they have CPD points, they have CMEs to encourage doctors to go for that. So I want to urge this House to consider really funding healthcare. I know it's devolved, but we need to fund our healthcare so that even as we talk of waiving bills, then we have a recourse for these institutions, because they will waive bills. Again, patients will go for healthcare for emergency, requiring emergency service, and the hospital says we have no gloves, we just have a doctor, and the doctor cannot really respond without the tools of trade. So we have to look at a way where we package this to protect the patient, to protect the dignity of dead bodies, and also protect these institutions. I support this bill, and I want to encourage us, because this conversation is really, most members I can see have had an input on this, and we want our healthcare to be the best, and I can say we have a good, as government, government is putting measures to ensure that we get there. Even the referral system, whereby, like in my constituency, I encourage a patient. Even just the other day, a patient came to me. They had a tumor. I told them the best thing for you to do, you have SHA, go to your dispensary, follow the referral system. When you follow the referral system, SHA takes care of your bills. But what some patients do, they go to the referral institution, and that's why you have cases where patients will tell you, SHA is paying this amount and I have to foot the other bill. So we really need to educate the public, and that's our role, so that SHA succeeds. It is in our interest. We are carrying so many burdens. I'm just new in this house. I can imagine what you have gone through. There are two members of parliament who are here for a longer time, even 2-3 terms. If you are shouldering all these bills that I've encountered in the few months after election, I really say we need to support SHA so that some of these issues can be addressed. I support this bill. It is timely, and I congratulate the member, and I hope that by the time the term for this House expires, we pass this bill. I support.
Member for Kericho, followed by the member for the Honorable Jane Kiara.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to support this very, very important bill. That is the Health Amendment Bill of 2024 by my colleague and my friend, Honorable Njeri Maina. Thank you for bringing this very, very important amendment. And even before I talk about the bill, I want to thank the member who has just spoken. And I want to thank him. As much as he's saying he's new in the House, he has actually added value. And it is not only for the first timers or those who have been here for long who feel so much about the bill, about the issues of paying for our constituents. It is all of us who feel for the same. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that this bill is so important, but it has delayed from 2024. up to date. It has taken long. As much as, and we appreciate the fact that it has been a process, and especially the SHA, changing from NHIF to the SHA, which addresses quite a number of issues. There's still this gap that we have here, and I am so happy that this bill is addressing the issue of prepayment before emergency medical treatment is provided. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this because we actually have so many people who lose their lives, maybe in a scene of accident, and mothers who go to deliver and they are not attended. Some of them in the emergency, some in the scene, and others in the emergency area because they are waiting for the pill to be put. And it is very, very sad that lives are lost, yet we are supposed to save lives. And Honorable Speaker, you will also realize that many of these, the patients who go through this process or who actually serve at this come from humble background. The only thing they have is a piece of land, especially from where I come from in Kericho. But this piece of land is not even in their names. The title goes to even 4 generations behind.
Now, who is this now? The Honorable Osero. Is that you?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. So, in other words, Honorable Speaker, it takes very long, it takes days even to admit a patient. It takes hours even to take them to, if it is an emergency, for cases of surgery, because they have not paid anything. And this is where we lose lives. Others even goes to a point of being disabled because they have not been saved early enough. So, Honorable Speaker, Article 26 of the Constitution tells us about the right to life. And if, Honorable Speaker, every member of this country has right to life, then it means lives must be saved. And this bill is actually sorting that one out. And Honorable Speaker, it is also very, very important to note that this bill addresses the issue of it restores dignity even in death. I'm saying this especially when it is addressing the issue of dead bodies being retained in hospitals. Mr. Speaker, this has affected me personally, and especially cases where we are asked to go for fundraisings. We raise money. I remember last year in one of the wards, Kapsoit ward, I attended a fundraiser, and members of the community did fundraisings for many, many months, and they were not able to raise 6 million. And then, Honorable Speaker, this mom was retained in hospital for days and days. We did fundraisings. I had to go around ministries asking our PSS, our CSS to help. So it is very frustrating. It is also affecting families. It is shameful. It also takes a lot of time, takes a lot of resources, knowing that in my community, Honorable Speaker, we actually respect the death. So if they stay for even 4 months, nobody will go to work. Nobody will go to the farm, especially the immediate family members. They have to stay around until the death is buried. So it is actually something that has affected many. And Honorable Speaker, as I've said, depositing of title deeds will only influence to some extent, but noting also that the mortuary fee is not also paid by SHA is another frustrating issue. So the bills will accrue every day in, day out. And it is not only affecting the family members, the community is affected because nobody would actually feel lifted or free until the dead are buried, Honorable Speaker. So in this case, I want to appreciate this bill and say that it is important to have these amendments done so that even the dead are buried honorably. Time is also of essence. It is also important to know that even hospitals will have their rights preserved. Honorable Speaker, as I say this, I want to also put across this point that health being devolved, our counties must do something, and especially in cases of providing medical attention and medical services, and especially equipping the ICUs. This is where we have issues. Equipments should be provided, drugs should be provided, and especially in the level 4, 5, and 6 where necessary. Otherwise, we are losing lives. Mothers have also lost their babies because of the emergency CS that is not done. The doctors also need a fee. And Honorable Speaker, you can't tell our people that you cannot afford to go to a private hospital, and therefore, can you go to the public? Because they are so concerned, they want to save their loved one, and they are not able to pay. So this has caused a lot of issues and a lot of chaos within us. It has also led to separation of families. A mother feels maybe the father of this child or whoever is not actually doing much, doing enough, yet in the real sense they are not able to do. So I want to support this bill and say that it should move as fast as possible. And Honorable Njeri, I wish you can advance it, and so that as much as it is a private bill, it can be adopted in this House, and I request and ask the members and appeal to them to support this bill, because it will save all of us, Honorable Speaker. With that, I truly support and thank you very much.
Member for Naivasha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to support this amendment bill by Honorable Jerry Maina. At the same time, congratulate her. Jerry listens to the ground, so she knows the problems that the country is facing. On the onset, Mr. Speaker, we must agree that our health sector is collapsed. It's collapsed, starting from payment of doctors, equipping hospitals. Mr. Speaker, we may pass this bill, but as long as the hospitals are not equipped, the doctors are on the streets demonstrating because they have not been paid, we must first and foremost think where the rain started beating us. I've heard members talking about SHA. I still believe SHA is not working. Yes, they have to deposit 6,000 for 1 year. Honorable Amuden, they're telling us that the president said that you can pay pole pole. I want to tell him this is what, Mr. Speaker, we used to call roadside declarations, because government works with gazettement or policy papers, not on the street. Mr. Speaker, detaining dead bodies is the worst thing that you can do to a family. Mr. Speaker, I know there is a body that was detained in KU for 7 months from my constituency for a very poor family to pay 9 million. They raised funds, It was never enough, not once, not twice. Eventually, Mr. Speaker, I wrote to the CEO, I'm not a family member. I told them, bury that body. I don't have the consent of the family, but it was so painful. Eventually, the body was released when they realized there was no money, more money coming. Mr. Speaker, there was another one. They had done 3 harambes, and the money was not enough, and their title was in the hospital. I wrote to MP Shah, thank God, they got the title released. So if it is not flowing, somebody has to step in to get things to work. We must agree that we have a problem. Members of this parliament, we are all doing those harambes, and we have done them for the longest. So if there are people who should support this Honorable Jerry's bill, it's members of this parliament. It's so painful when a patient has been discharged, but they cannot leave the hospital because of an unpaid bill. Yet, the bill keeps on accruing. These are the things we say. If the health sector is not properly administered, members of parliament and families are going to suffer. Mr. Speaker, I remember when Honorable Sabina Chege was the chair of health, I used to call her all the time to get bills waived. You know, Kenyatta Hospital is a referral hospital. And what happens is that a patient is sent to Kenyatta with the family not knowing, because the patient requires specialized treatment. So they are brought to Kenyatta. Then they die in Kenyatta. The patient, the family, to get that body out of Kenyatta is another burden to the family. Mr. Speaker, we have had very many cases where patients go, they are treated, they require medicine, but they have to buy it outside the hospital because there's no medicine in the hospital. Services like X-ray, they have to take it from outside. That's what I'm saying. This is a sector that needs overhaul and being looked after. Mr. Speaker, we have had cases where a patient has to be referred to Kenyatta, as there's no ambulance. Or if it's there, it has no petrol. We have all sorts of problems in the medical sector. Mr. Speaker, emergency. Sometimes there's nothing these doctors can do because there are no equipment. A patient has come, they need this item, they don't have them. So that's what I'm saying. We need to overhaul the health sector. Pay the doctors well, equip the hospitals, so that an emergency is an emergency and it can be treated as such. Because we have had kids or mothers delivering at the casualty. Not once, not twice. We have had mothers lose their babies and they cannot take them home because again there is a bill to be paid. So it's double punishment for families. Here you are, you can't pay that money, yet the person, your patient, is dead. Mr. Speaker, I have a harambe like this that we have to do tomorrow. of a body in the hospital. These hospitals also have a problem. You call the doctor and you tell them, please, I want a waiver. Mheshimiwa, what do? We have to run this institution because there's no money. And then during these very hard times, economic times, when families have no even food to eat, and unfortunately, a disease knocks on the door, maybe that emergency. We are living in a very sad state in matters of health. So, Mr. Speaker, I will join all of us in supporting this bill and pray that it sees the right of the day, but the government needs to rethink the health sector. Pay doctors well, equip hospitals, and do what it has to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Gunja, followed by member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, thank you for allowing me also to air my voice on this bill, the Health Amendment Bill 2024. Let me start, Honorable Speaker, by thanking Honorable Jerry Maina, Kirinyaga member, County Member of Parliament, for bringing such a wonderful bill. I think it is timely, and as members, we really need to support it. And I think the bill, the amendment measures on two critical areas. That is one, on the emergency treatments at the hospitals, and also the retention of bodies in the morgues. Mr. Speaker, from the previous debaters or members of Parliament, it is clear that detaining bodies, one, becomes a bit traumatizing to the families of the bereaved, and secondly, that it doesn't add value, really, economic value, to either the hospital or the economy of the country. Mr. Speaker, I think in making such amendment, it will really go a long way in even helping us as the elected leaders in trying to even manage ourselves. Because realize that, Mr. Speaker, that when such kind of unfortunate events confronts these families, they reach out to us to come out and support them economically. Mr. Speaker, for a family to have one of their own in a morgue basically means that they are so much incapacitated financially. So we really haven't got no reason whatsoever to continue, kind of punishing them in such a manner. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I also wanted to air my voice on the issues of the emergency treatment or the emergency services, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you go to most of these hospitals, you will clearly be able to notice a section within the hospital clearly indicated as emergency wings or emergency entrance. And to make this practical, Mr. Speaker, I think it's only prudent if that could also be, can be done in action. Mr. Speaker, there are incidences where you find a situation, for example, where there's an accident and a patient is rushed to an hospital and he or she ends up not being attended to simply because of non-payment of the fee that is required at that particular point, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, an emergency is an emergency. And in most cases, we would always find you or me or anybody else for that matter not prepared. So punishing one or not able to attend to a patient simply because one is not able to, to make payment at that particular time, Mr. Speaker, is really unfortunate. I think this bill will go a long way in ensuring that we get medical attention, because everyone has a right to life, Mr. Speaker. So this bill by my sister, Honorable Njeri, is timely, if you ask me. And we shall support it, and we also ask members of this Honorable House to come in handy and give it the full support that it deserves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this Health Amendment Bill 2024 by our colleague, Honorable Jane Njeri Maina. Honorable Speaker, the issue of medical cover, the issue of health and the rest has remained and always remain a very emotive and at times emotional draining subject any given day. Honorable Speaker, on the face of it and its matters of principle, this amendment is timely, is called for, and could, if well thought out and implemented, probably solve some of the most harrowing experiences many families go through. Honorable Speaker, as I'm seated here, I have received a case of a fellow called Devero, who has been detained at St. Mary Hospital, Langata, since early January. Because of a bill, now stands at 300 and something. The family has raised 200 and something. Unfortunately, by the time he was being admitted, he had not yet paid for SHA. He has been detained, and actually, as a result of detention, he has contracted other illness, compounding the problem. It's already compounded. Honorable Speaker, unfortunately, this bill might just be peppering on the underlying issues in the health sector in this country. Because, one, hospitals detain bodies as alien, but many of you, the lawyers, have said a dead body is of no value. They do so because they have already spent money to treat that particular patient. Unfortunately, the treatment did not meet the desires of the Almighty God, and the Almighty God has called their person. So we need to look at it from this other side. Secondly, hospitals refuse to admit patients under emergency cases because it will cost them money to treat that patient, and without any deposit or a form of payment, it brings this issue. And that's why I'm saying the bill is well-intentioned, but the elephant lies elsewhere. Honorable Speaker, when you were replacing NHIF, when SHA was rammed through our throat here, it was touted as if it's the panacea, the all-time solution to all problems in the medical sector. We were told there is an emergency medical fund, that if you are faced with an emergency, the emergency fund will step in and get you treated. We were told there is universal health care for those indigent who cannot afford, that the government called Kenya will pay for them so they get medical insurance cover. Lest do we know that it was all a pack of lies, and that's why it has to force the young lady to come with a bill here, knowing very well that it has got a challenge in implementing. Honorable Speaker, and probably it's out of that fear that she has restricted. And me and you, Honorable Speaker, we know very, very well the public hospitals that you see dotting all over this country is just hospitals by the name. That's just a mere shell. When you have a proper emergency, a serious emergency, I can assure you, Honorable Speaker, you will unlikely to get that treatment in the local county government hospitals. They do not have the facility, they don't have the personnel. The personnel who are there are so demotivated, an emergency patient will rush to hospital. whom we will find, will not even find a clinical officer. We'll probably get a public health officer who has been left in the corridors to take records, or a records officer. Essentially, we might want to bill it as the best bill, but as my colleagues have said, we must deal with underlying fundamental issues. The only fundamental issue that we can deal here is to ensure that every Kenyan of whichever walk in life has a good medical cover to underwrite medical bills. Without this, Honorable Speaker, I can assure you, we are even going to make these hospitals in rural areas to get even worse, to an extent that even when you are dying, you say, I would rather die in my house rather than go to a certain hospital where death is confirmed and it was going to happen. Honorable Speaker, there is a joke somewhere, and I don't want to mention, because today is a day of long knives. There is a joke somewhere that you rather not take me to a certain hospital, because if you take me there, I will die. And indeed, many people have died out of negligence, out of nothing. So, Honorable Speaker, the infrastructure required to meet the definition of emergency medical treatment as prescribed by our colleague is not there. And this country, both the national level and the county level, has no intentions at all, or has no desires to make sure that we deal with that matter. Because immediate means the necessary initial or immediate medical care that's administered to a critically ill or injured person to avert or prevent death, disability, unnecessary morbidity, or worsening of a medical situation. If you have a heart attack, Honorable Speaker, in your house, you need an ambulance with oxygen to take you to hospital. I don't know how many ambulances you have in Siaya County. I know in Busia County, they're very countable. I don't know how many. And many times, they may not even have oxygen tanks in those ambulances. So, Honorable Speaker, even by the time you are being taken to that emergency facility, you are already dead. Honorable Speaker, even basics like snake bites, which many times is an emergency case, because if you are bitten by a snake that's extremely poisonous, by the time you travel from, for example, from Mutembei to the nearest health facility at Seaport that has got semblance of a medical doctor, that about 20 or 30 or so minutes, if there is no emergency at the village, you are dead. You are dead. Honorable Speaker, community health volunteers have gone in this country for many months without payment of their dues. They are demoralized, demotivated, have no longer desire to work for the benefit of the people. We call upon, as we pursue this bill, probably it is important, Honorable Speaker, as a country, we need to spend less time on political rhetoric and really solve the problems of this country. Honorable Speaker, the amount of money we are wasting in so many of these endless movements in this country, doing useless things, why can't we pay for indigent so that everybody has got medical cover, has got insurance cover, they can go to any hospital of their choice, get treated in the events of emergencies. Honorable Speaker, there's nothing there can't be anything more important than medical cover. We thought by devolution we'll have solved the problem, but probably we devolve more problems than devolving solutions. I support the bill in principle, but I just want to assure you the long-term objective of the bill will never be achieved until we sort out the fundamental issues bedeviling the health sector in this country. Thank you for the effort and wish you well.
Thank you. Member for Imenti Central, then followed by the member for Koso South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the Herald Amendment Bill 2024. And I thank Honorable Jerry for taking this opportunity and to have that human feeling that something in the society has been going wrong, especially when it comes to retaining of the bodies in mortuaries, of which really it's very tormenting to the families of the deceased. Honorable Speaker, we cannot forget that when it comes to the health sector, nobody would wish at any given moment to go through an hospital whereby he is going to be ignored because he has not paid the initial fees for the person to be admitted in the hospital. A number of us, especially those who are in this house, have been called at the root hours. We have been involved in issues whereby a patient has been admitted in the hospital and the treatment has been denied because there is no deposit paid to the hospital. We have notorious hospitals, especially in the Meru region, which are held by the churches and which are owned by private individuals. Mr. Speaker, in those hospitals, even if you have a serious accident or even a snake bite, as my colleague has just said there, and you happen to be taken to those hospitals and you are meant to be admitted, first you must pay some deposit of hundreds of thousands of shillings. And when you don't have them, it means that then your patient cannot be admitted and you have to go around calling for help from friends, from politicians, and the people of goodwill. As for that, Mr. Speaker, we have a problem whereby most of the health facilities, most of the institutions which offer health or health medicines and so on, Mr. Speaker, they are owned by individuals and they are operated as business enterprises. And as for that, I don't know how this bill is going to be coded to an extent that is going to be binding to them, for it can be binding to the public sector, public hospitals, public health centers. But when it comes to the private hospitals, generally, private hospitals are created for business purposes. And those who operate those hospitals, if you look at it keenly, you see that their interest is not according to provide health facilities, is not according to them. It's just for purposes of making profit. And Mr. Speaker, that's why they insist on having deposits before treating somebody. As it is envisaged in this bill, it's a wonderful bill, especially where it comes to a place whereby one is to be fined a certain amount of money for failing to provide initial treatment or providing initial care which is required to save life. For the person who is being taken to the hospital or the person who is being sent to be sick, he is unconscious most of the time when they are taken to the hospitals. And maybe it's the only person who has access of the money which can be able to be paid as the initial deposit in the same institution. How is that person going to release that money so that he can be treated or he can be saved to be able to operate the account and get money to pay to this hospital? I call upon the mob of the bill to see to it, of which it should come in the form of amendment at the right time. We separate private institutions and public institutions. It's very necessary. But when it comes to retaining of the bodies, I've been in practice as a lawyer for more than 25 years, and I know very well that it is a declaration of the court that there is no valuation, there is no value in a dead body. Even if you see our people competing to buy a body, it does not value, it does not add value either to property, neither does that body become a property at any given moment. So what it is that to retain that body in the mortuary so that you can be paid whatever the treatment cost which was incurred by the time that person was in the hospital. Sometimes you wonder what value does it hand to the hospital? But the question is, why not to use a collateral? Why not to use a collateral so that at least it can operate as a shock absorber
or something which one can hold, maybe a title deed, a logbook, without complications, provided that it is pinned to the family of the deceased, and then that collateral can come to be redeemed their own later when the required amount is paid in the hospital. But further still, Mr. Speaker, it then brings complications of the people who have operated or who have litigated on cases of hospitals negligence. For sometimes an hospital becomes negligent, it treats somebody in a bad way, or it operates on somebody and out of the negligence of the doctor. Like a doctor whom we were told that he was operating on a lady, cesarean birth. And he remembered that he had left friends in the bar. He left the patient on the operating table, went to finish the task he was taking, and by the time he came back to the theater, he found that the lady was dead, and the child who was meant to be born was dead. That patient was retained in the hospital because the hospital wanted to be paid their fees. Yet it was the hospital which was negligent. So there is a lot which there are intricate issues which are meant to be addressed in this LD bill, especially when it comes to the retaining of the bodies, because if it happens that it's the hospital which was negligent and it caused the death of a patient, yet the hospital will retain that body until you pay, then it costs a lot to be considered. For at the end of the day, this hospital, unless it is taken to the court through a legal procedure to compensate the family, is going to be a beneficiary of the crime which it has committed by having a doctor who is negligent, having the patient die, and then at the end of the day, being paid for the crime which it has committed. And you know how long it takes in the court corridors to have a compensation of a patient who has been admitted, taking into account that the witnesses are going to be other doctors. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this bill to an extent that on a principle that there is no value in the dead body, even if it's kept in the hospital. Our people are to be informed that even if a body is buried in the hospital, if the hospital refuses to release it, there is no value in the same. I therefore support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before you sit down, I've heard this a lot, and we're coming to the end of this discussion.
Yes, Speaker.
I've heard this since I sat here, that there's no value in a dead body.
Yes.
So why are we struggling to get them buried? Because there's cultural value.
Speaker, it's the law.
Order.
It's the law which has been declared by the High Court and the Court of Appeal.
Order.
It's only the Supreme Court which I have not heard it clearing the same.
Order.
But
order. I'm just asking this. I'm not finished. So why are we struggling to get these bodies buried? Because as a people, as Africans, culturally we believe that we should bury our dead. Right? And I've not heard anybody talk about it.
Yes, Speaker.
The families are struggling so that they can have cultural closure. And I think most hospitals, most doctors miss this. The courts may have said what they said, which is true, that in terms of holding the body doesn't add value. But for families who are bereaved, culturally, and this has to be insisted upon, culturally, we want to bury our dead in a decent manner. And that's why people, last weekend I saw a family in Nyeri burying a log.
Yes.
Because one of their own disappeared in Afghanistan, can't be traced. There's cultural value in doing burials. And I think this is what is missing all through. I think I've had almost 30, 40 submissions. There is cultural value in us burying our bodies as Africans. Honorable Kim, I think you are finished.
Speaker, no, I'm not finished. When you have addressed it in that form, may I put it in the legal circles when it comes to the ingredient of the word value. Value is whereby it can be valued in form of either material or monetary term. But Speaker, this one is just moral. It's a moral obligation to say that you have buried the body. It's not of any material, neither of any form of material or monetary value. It is none. Because, Speaker, you find that families are struggling to bury the body so that they can claim inheritance to say that we are the one who buried our father and we are entitled to a better inheritance or all the inheritance. And that should not be the case at all.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Speaker.
Suddenly, people don't bury because they want to get inheritance. Certainly not.
Certainly not. People go out of their way to borrow millions of shillings because they want to respect their dead. It's as simple as that. The Honorable Mary Omasa, you'll have 4 minutes. And let me just finish. I'll add you one that I'm going to take. Then after that, the member for Parliament for Kirinyaga will reply. And during her reply, she may, give a minute or two to the Honorable Nyakundi and the Honorable Ikiara, who has sat all through this afternoon and didn't only put her card 4 minutes ago. The Honorable Omasa, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I think from the onset, I want to congratulate my sister, Honorable Njeri Maina, for this very well-thought bill that is before us. Honorable Speaker, this bill seeks to give constitutional teeth, legislative teeth to the Constitution, the right to emergency health care, and also to safeguard the dignity of the dead, as provided for in Article 43(2) for the right to emergency and 28 for the dignity, safeguarding the dignity. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to say that, to echo what other leaders have already said here, that everyone has a right to emergency medical care, regardless of their financial status. And therefore, any delayed attention or medical care to any Kenyan can lead to severe medical condition. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I have seen women die while giving birth, giving life, resulting from delayed attention. And some of them give birth to children that some children may survive mental conditions. And therefore, that begs the question. Sometimes I wonder, what happened to the ethical and medical obligation by medical practitioners? Because healthcare providers are bound by ethical principles to give emergency attention to all patients, regardless of their financial status. So the mandatory requirement for deposit should never deter them or bar them from giving attention to any patient that goes to these hospitals. Because this delayed medical attention, Honorable Speaker, has far-reaching implications, has severe public health implications. For example, if it is an infectious disease, like COVID, that we experienced 2020, 2021, immediate attention would have led to prevention, can prevent this severe spread of infectious disease. It may even reduce the cost of treatment or effectiveness of the treatment, as opposed to if this treatment is delayed. So timely treatment or attention, Honorable Speaker, cannot be gainsaid. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, we know that it is a government responsibility to ensure there is access to health care to all Kenyans. And I want to first applaud the government for the introduction of the SHARE program. Just the other day, we had a meeting and we were briefed on how it is being improved. But we must also emphasize that there is need to resource the hospitals and improve them so that we have this quality health care to all our people. And as I conclude, detaining patients, it's not just detaining bodies. It's not only detaining bodies. Honorable Njeri should have added even detaining patients. I've had to deal with cases of detained patients in my constituency. We need to find a way, because this is inhuman and it puts the families into a lot of trauma, and therefore alternative means of payment of these bills needs to be found. And I think that is what the bill has not addressed. We must also look at the other side of the coin. The hospitals, and you know the nature and the culture of Kenyans. People will just decide to take their relatives to, and their kin to hospital and refuse to pay bills just because there is a bill that has removed the detaining and what have you. So what is the bill saying about how this bill should be recovered?
Allow her a minute.
Honorable Speaker, probably the bill should also address and put responsibility, say probably to the Minister of Health, to share, to accommodate these bills once it is ascertained that this family is vulnerable, cannot completely afford, because no kin would want to leave their dead body in a hospital and refuse to pay if they have the money. I think that part of the story needs to be also, that conversation needs to be addressed in the bill. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Jane Njeri Maina. This is your...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'd like to thank the many members who have contributed to this bill, enriching the debate and giving a human face of their constituents' lived experiences.
Are you going to donate in your minutes to Honorable Nyakundi and Kiara?
Yes.
Please,
yes,
that's what you should do first before you go do what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, I'll donate 1.5 minutes to each of them, but I'll try ensure that I'm brief so that they can contribute.
They contribute first, then you reply.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get to take your seat, then we go to hear the Honorable Kiara first, then Honorable Nyakundi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to laud my very young sister, Honorable Jerry, for bringing in this amendment bill 2024. And Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to say this bill is long overdue. Honorable Speaker, the citizens of this country participated and overwhelmingly voted for the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which guarantees the right to the highest attainable standards of health. Honorable Speaker, when all this is defined, we know which includes emergency treatment. And Honorable Speaker, emergency treatment means something that has happened abruptly without your knowledge. It just comes. Honorable Speaker, I want to say this is something that should be accorded to our citizens without any hesitation. Honorable Speaker, I want to say the burying of the dead, burying of bodies, it is African. And in the African context, Honorable Speaker, we want to say dead bodies are treated as very sacred. Every family wants to be given their person to go and bury, Honorable Speaker. And this is why, with all due respect, Honorable Speaker, I want to distance myself with the notion that dead bodies are not valuable. We are Africans and we know the attachment of us and those who have left us. So, Honorable Speaker, to avert more torture and torment, we must all look for a way of ensuring that the hospitals can be able to release the dead bodies to their families to go and put a closure to that chapter, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support my sister, Honorable Jerry Maina. Congratulations.
The Honorable Nyakundi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank Honorable Jerry Maina for bringing this amendment bill 2024, because this is one of the most important bills that I've seen in this House, and it is time overdue because, yes, we know a lot has been done in the health sector in terms of bringing up the SHA and the numbers that are there, about 29 million, employing of the CHPs, and employing of the universal healthcare workers, which is a good thing. But still, most of these hospitals don't adhere to the emergency cases that come up day to day in these hospitals. most of them assume and ask for money before treating a patient. Just a week, 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine was taken to KUTRH, and he was in a critically ill position, and he was asked for money. The wife could not afford, so it's a friend who came up after about 2-3 hours to come and support in paying the bill, so that deposit, so that it can be able to be attended to. On the bodies, I want to support this 100%, because most of these hospitals, you get a family has undergone a lot of financial crisis because of treating the patients to a tune of maybe 3, 4, 5 million, and then now they have a dead body that they need to go and bury, and you're telling them to clear the bill so that they go bury the body. And most of these families that are not able to pay are just vulnerable families. So I want to support this bill, and I want to support it with all my heart, because I believe this will bring dignity to the dead and dignity to Kenyans who are suffering in various hospitals.
Thank you. Honorable Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to thank the many members who have contributed to this bill, enriching and giving a human face to their constituents' lived experiences. I have noted and do recognize that indeed medical services are not provided for free. It is therefore imperative that we also urge the Ministry of Health, once Parliament and the Senate has passed this bill and it has been assented into law, to develop a framework to ensure that they address and engage stakeholders in regard to implementation of the same. I also note and appreciate that we all agree as members that denying families to lay their kin to rest is unethical, it is inhumane, and a practice that is repugnant to the letter and spirit of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, as you have said and guided this House, that perhaps dead bodies may not have monetary value, but they have emotional value that cannot be quantified in monetary terms. Honorable Speaker, I have also noted the concern about medics who are working under supervision and perhaps on contracts. And that is why this bill has a provision ensuring that the persons in charge of the medical facilities will be directly and vicariously liable should they perpetuate any acts that will be against this bill. Honorable Speaker, I've also noted the concern of a member of Parliament who's just spoken, Honorable Oundo, who has indeed said that we are not addressing the integral issues that are bedeviling the health facilities in Kenya. And Honorable Speaker, while I admit that there are many issues bedeviling the health sector in Kenya, I also note that these amendments will give reprieve to families that do not have financial capacity. It is worth noting that our culture as Africans is to lay our kin to rest. Failure to support the judiciary precedents in place by having legislation weaponizes culture, it weaponizes faith, and the natural human need to ensure that we have buried our dead. It is therefore imperative upon us to ensure that these amendments are fast-tracked, that we do not engage in the bureaucracy of delaying these very dire and necessary amendments to the Kenyan people. Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg. Honorable Speaker, I also further note that indeed this bill was initiated in 2024, And 2 years down the line, this is when it is coming for the second reading. So I implore upon the House leadership to put these as a top priority for the House. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 53.3, I beg that the putting of question on the second reading of the bill be deferred, and I hereby reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, and well said, and congratulations. So, as requested, the decision on the second reading of this bill will be done next time when we quote. So we move to the next order.
Order number 17, the Teachers Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2024, second reading.
Harrow in the House. So we stand over it generally and go to the next order.
Order number 18, the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2024, second reading.
The Honorable Joshua Oron, I hope you're ready to move this for second reading. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2024, be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this bill was first published last in 2024 November, and first read on 20th April 2025. Honorable Speaker, this bill has taken quite a long time, and from the onset, I want to say that I'm very grateful for the people who have made it to reach here. This bill was advertised for public participation on the 9th May 2025, seeking public views. And this bill attracted quite a few stakeholders that I'm very grateful for, and their comments have made it to create the amendment that we have here today. Grateful for the National Industrial Training Authority through the State Department of Labor and Skills Development, the Kenya National Qualification Authority, National Gender and Equality Commission, Kenya Law Reform Commission, Kenya Law Office of the Attorney General, and United Disabled Persons, UDPK of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this particular bill, the main objective of this legislative proposal is to amend the specific provisions of the Industrial Training Act in order to recognize prior learning that acknowledges the skills and experience acquired through informal and non-formal learning. It seeks to amend Section 2 of the Industrial Training Act, which is the principal act, and further seeks to define what prior learning is as knowledge, skills, or competence acquired through informal, non-formal, or experiential training or education outside the traditional academic environment. The legislative proposal seeks to amend Section 3A, Honorable Speaker, of the Principal Act by including an establishment of a system and structure that assesses and certifies a person who has acquired skills through informal and non-formal experiential learning. Honorable Speaker, in each and every constituency in every part of Kenya, we have various people who have acquired skills and various skills from different sectors. And you can mention it. You go to Kisumu, Kisumu Central has got one of the largest Juakali sector, where people who dropped out of school have acquired skills through observation of the work they do, through training, and you can mention every Juakali sector: electrical, mechanical, plumbing, masonry. Honorable Speaker, all these sectors have got people who are experts in their own rights, but they don't have certificates to present to show that they have acquired learning. Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons why I'm executing this bill is so that we treat people equally. There are those people who left schools at early stage for several reasons and will not get jobs in the process because they don't have a certificate to show that they've acquired those skills. There are those disabled people who have acquired skills in particular specific fields that will not be employed, that will not upgrade to higher learning because they have not acquired a qualification. This bill therefore seeks to increase equality, especially to those members of the society that dropped out of school, so that their chances of employment can increase. This bill increases the opportunity for those people who have toiled throughout their life from the time they left school to be able to have an opportunity for employment. This bill has been supported by many Kenyans because it speaks to the bottom-up approach of the Kenya Kwanza government, because we have people down there who have acquired skills in various sectors. And I mentioned a few sectors. Even if you go into food and beverage, there are those men and women who are so skilled in cooking. They won't be employed in any hotel because they don't have a qualification. There are those carpenters who what they have is an overall. That's all they have to show for what they have done. They don't have a qualification. This particular bill, therefore, Honorable Speaker, seek to formalize those skills, especially allowing those people not to go back to school, but to be assessed in the environment where they work. And that's why this bill is seeking to amend certain provisions in the actual act so that there is a formalization process for those people who have got those skills, who have acquired those skills, to be able to be given specific grade certificates to enable them to go into formal employment, to enable them to upgrade their training and qualification, to enable them to be equal to other people who have been to school. And we know across the country, most of our jobs in our homes and in our businesses are done by such people. Most plumbers we employ or we get to do our work don't have certificates. Yet they do the work without going into a formal classroom or a formal technical institution. The masons that we employ temporarily are those people who have been trained on the job, and they know all the measurements of building, of the bricks, or of the block. The people who repair our vehicles, the mechanics who do the wiring in our vehicles, majority of them have learned their skills on the job. The most important thing, Honorable Speaker, on this bill is that this bill recognizes that skill. That that person can compete with the rest of the world once certificated, once given a certificate to show that they have the skills to do the work, that they can compete with the rest of us, the rest of the world that have gone to technical institution. Honorable Speaker, this bill is an equalizer for many people who have not been to school. This bill is an equalizer for some of the people who dropped out of school for many reasons, because of the background where they come from. So this is a bill that gives many Kenyans a second chance to be able to acquire a qualification, to be able to formalize their skills, to be able to upgrade to higher education, to be able to get into formal employment, because we are also a certificate society where people who are potential employers will ask you where you read. By bringing this bill and engraving it into the law, it allows those people who have acquired those skills, who have acquired those certificates, who have acquired those qualifications to be formally recognized. Honorable Speaker, this bill also seeks to amend Section 5 of the Principal Act to include the establishment of a system and processes for the recognition and assessment of prior learning as one of the functions of the National Industrial Training Board. It recognizes the fact that people who work in formal and non-formal learning sectors gain psychomotor skills, knowledge, and expertise through practice, and they should be given recognition for their acquired skills. This bill provides an avenue, Honorable Speaker, through which a person who acquires knowledge and skills through learning methods outside the academic environment can apply for the recognition. And the beauty about this bill, Honorable Speaker, is that it allows the person who is applying to continue working within the environment where they work, assessed with the tools that they use for daily work, and also certificated in the environment where they are very comfortable in working. So, for example, Honorable Speaker, a mechanic working in a juakali, this bill makes a provision for that person to be assessed on the engine that he or she repairs for a daily living. It allows the person, a mason who is building, to be assessed doing the work that he or she is paid to do on the job, thus cutting off the time that they will spend in the classroom, cutting off the time that they will spend traveling, yet they may not even have the resources to enable them to pay the fee for that training, pay the fee for that certification, pay the transport to go to that institution where they will be formally assessed. And I want to stress that this bill removes the inequality in education. This bill brings people who have been disadvantaged over the years to a certain level, Honorable Speaker. And I want to conclude by saying that it's a bill that almost is already in practice, only that it's not in law. And this will make it easier for the industrial training, will make it for institutional activity, will make it easier for other institutions offering technical courses to assess those who already have skills in their own work environment. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request Honorable Moses Omondi, MP Ugunja, to second.
Moses Omondi, Ugunja. Thank you, Honorable Member. Sorry, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. Thank you. Honorable Lekuton, approach the chair. Honorable Lekuton, approach the chair. Honorable members, Honorable Ron having moved the bill on the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2024, and Honorable Moses Omondi having seconded the same, I now wish to propose the question that the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2024, be now read a second time. The Honorable Lekuton, you want to contribute or you have a matter you want to raise on this issue? Give the mic to the Honorable Lekuton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Standing order number 35, I rise on standing order number 35 that I'd like to notify the House and the Speaker that we have no quorum. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Having ascertained that lack quorum, I order the quorum bell be rung for the next 5 minutes.
think we can stop the bell. And before we move to the I wish to just remind members that at the retreat members had in Naivasha in late January, it was agreed that the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration shall appear before the House in Speaker's Kamkunji to brief members on the state of national security. To this end, and in line with the Speaker's communication of 10th February 2026, the Honorable Speaker invites all members of the National Assembly to the Kamkunji tomorrow, Thursday, 12th February 2026, in the National Assembly Chamber, Main Parliament Buildings at 10 a.m. Members are reminded to keep time. And time now being 7:38 p.m., this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, the 12th of February 2026 at 2:30 p.m.